So while we're in that full mount position, we have the principle or the concept of using our pressure to cook our opponent. What we mean by that is we want to make our opponent carry as much of our body weight as possible. In the long term, that's going to fatigue our opponent and help us set up our opportunities to submit. So it's very important that once we establish these dominant positions, we need to take our time. Don't rush and lose position while trying to go for a submission. So we're going to cover a very simple cross lapel choke. So we've made it to the full mount position. It's important to make sure that we're cooking our opponent like we talked about, making him carry as much of my weight as possible first. So I'm dropping that chest down to the mat. What you will see on this backside later is I'm picking up my heels and picking up my knees. This locks my hips to my opponent's torso. I'm keeping my chest nice and low while they're trying to fight out and replace their guard, meaning I'm going to be picking up elbows. I'm going to be making sure that I'm splitting frames right here so that way they can't replace their guard. Now it's important, when I feel them accept this position, a lot of times your opponents will kind of give that exhale, that and they're like, man, this is terrible. That's our opponent. That's our time to start sliding up and posturing up. When they start to try and escape, we go back down into that maintenance of the position. As long as you felt them accept this position, we start to posture. If you notice, I've started to slide my knees underneath those armpits. That serves two functions. Function number one, it gets the elbows far from the body, easier for me to pummel. And function number two is my hips are now not on top of Ian's. So if he needs to bridge here, it's a lot easier for me to maintain my position. Go and give us a bridge or two. See how I can stay following him. He brings it back down. It's not making me put my hands to the mat. So when I'm ready to start attacking, see how I'm using the hand on the same side of that lapel to help me open that up. I'm establishing a really good grip and opening that hand. I get two hands on that one lapel to help me lift, because the challenge of getting a cross lapel choke is the fact that the mat is underneath him. So that can limit how deep I can get my first grip. Let's get that 2-on-1 out of the lapel, lifting our opponent. As I do that, you see how I'm taking bigger bites on that first grip. I don't want my wrist to be bent on any sort of lapel chokes. I want to keep them nice and straight and strong. If we start putting a bunch of tension on our arms, I don't want that to transfer to the weak point with a weak wrist. So making sure my wrist is nice and straight and strong, getting that good solid grip and pulling my knuckles to me. Okay, now I'm going to drop my weight down, and I want to over exaggerate on this side because I've committed a post right here. If I'm over here, it's easy for him to bridge, and it makes me make a choice of letting go of that leg. So if I overcommit on the opposite side, it's tough for him to reverse me. Taking our hand, sliding it around the head. I'm going to use this elbow right here to help guide the chin out of the way. That puts a slight crook in the neck and opens up this opportunity to get this grip right here. Turn your head this way. So what I'm doing is using my elbow on this chin to redirect that chin. Now that opens up the top side of his neck. And it's almost like I'm karate chopping that carotid artery and collecting this material right here. Once I have it, I want to get my chest nice and heavy on my arm. So I'm leaning forward right here. If I can get my head to the mat, I'm going to. At this point now, with my chest heavy, I can start pulling my elbows back for that finish. So I don't want to get excited and start to pull now or have my elbows out. Let's get the weight on our opponent's neck first. Drop your weight down. Forehead can pin to the mat. And then pulling those elbows to the sky. Even if I'm here and I know that I have my grip, meaning I've gotten my reps in on my cross lapel choke, I can establish my grip. Even if he bridges and rolls me over, I can just make sure I cut my angle, closing my guard. I still have this good grip, establishing my control. Now I'm going to sit up to it, always making sure I'm bringing my nose to the top hand, and I'm effectively hanging on this lapel even before I start pulling my elbow straight back. So the motion that we're looking for with that should be that our elbows are retracting here. So as I'm pulling on those cross lapel chokes, whether on top or bottom, I'm pinching those elbows from the side. Elbows are tight, pulling it in nice and tight.